Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the City Council meeting of Wednesday, May 2nd, 2018. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Okay. Albertson?
Here.
Bueller?
Here.
Danforth?
Here.
Lallam?
Here.
Manty? Here. Roby? Absent. Solom? Absent. Thorson? Absent. Vilhauer?
Here.
Y?
Present.
Thank you.
The first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion and second?
So moved.
Moved by Lallam, second by Vilhauer. All in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the public comment period, and this is time set aside for anybody who wants to come and address the council. And if you wish to do so, please come forward and state your name to the microphone. See none, we'll move on. The next item on the agenda is number 3, rescission of essential air service. Excuse me. That's all right. Just wait. This is a full council. We're doing it kind of out of order, so sorry if that's confusing. The next item on the agenda is rescission of essential air service bid recommendation. Airport manager Todd Sires here to tell us what this is about.
Thank you. Todd Sires, airport manager. So what happened was we got a phone call last week from ADI, Mickey Bowman, stating that they had lost their gate space in Minneapolis. They were working through American Airlines to utilize a couple of their gates, and unfortunately some matters came up with American that they needed those gates in the third and fourth quarter of this year. So with that, the DOT, federal DOT, called us as well, Pierre and myself, and they had asked us if we were to bring back option 1 or rebid. So that's what we're doing, is asking you guys. We had a airport board meeting yesterday. The airport board did recommend option 1 status quo, and they rescinded option 2A. So that is what I'm bringing forward to you today, is option 1 status quo as the recommendation from the airport board, and the rescission of option 2A from ADI.
So previously, the city council had acted to recommend option 2A.
Correct.
So I need a motion and second to rescind that.
Second.
By Councilman Bueller, second by Councilman Danforth. Is there any discussion or further questions? Councilman Lallam?
Is this going to affect us? Is this like what Pierre's doing, or is Pierre on the same recommendation as what we are on this then?
Pierre did formally recommend option 1 last night.
Okay. How does this affect us possibly getting to Minneapolis in the future, or
No,
is that too early to tell?
Mickey Bowman stated that we can do an alternate route change with a contract. So as long as we have a contract in place and the city is appeasing to a Minneapolis leg, and so is Pierre being tied with us. If they were to come with an option and we brought it in front of you guys liked the idea and approved it, and the same with Pierre, then we could file for an alternate route change, and the DOT has always accepted those, if it's no more money than the current bid.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Danforth?
To piggyback on that then, so if it's no more money, but didn't option 2A that we wanted, wasn't that sizably more money?
$1 million more.
Okay, for us only, right?
Correct.
So the likelihood of us getting what we have in place now in regards to what our recommendation was, the option 2A, is probably slim because of the dollars.
That'd be a correct statement.
Okay. And this is a 2-year contract we're looking at?
Correct. Starts August 1.
Okay.
Councilman Bueller?
Todd, did Mickey say anything about interline efforts moving forward, but basically we're not going to have any of that to start with. Is that correct?
Correct. He is
Yeah.
digging in with Interlines. They do have a reservation system up and running. They do have training on it this week and next week. So within the next 10 to 14 days, that should be live. They are going to utilize their own reservation system with this new contract starting August 1, or have it in place at least if something were to happen with Great Lakes Airlines in the interim. So they do have that going. Delta said that they needed their own reservation system, and it would be nice if they flew into one of their hubs, but when they get their own reservation system, come back and talk to them about an interline with Delta. American Airlines has already put them on the list, the waiting list, and it could be 6 months, it could be a year. We don't know for sure how long their list is, but they are on the list for the interline for American.
That's good news. Other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is number 4, Essential Air Service Bid Recommendation. So we've already heard from Todd that they're asking us to recommend option 1.
Correct.
So moved.
Is there moved by Councilman Albertson, second by Councilman Y. Any discussion or questions? Councilman Vilhauer?
Todd, yesterday at the airport board meeting, you had talked about tweaking the flight times a little bit. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So one of the thoughts and from the public that we've had a lot of comments on is they would like an earlier flight out in the morning and a later flight at night coming back in. So that was one of the recommendations that we asked Mickey to look into. And he is looking into that. We're trying to look at a between 5 and 6 a.m. departure and a roughly between 10 and 11 o'clock arrival back into Watertown. That would require them to use a continuous duty day is what it's called for pilots. They're looking into that situation to make sure they have the staffing available to do that. But in turn, if they do, that is a very solid option.
Yeah, that would be nice. Councilman Y?
Todd, yesterday at the meeting, you also talked about in the future, some larger airlines may look at our data, and that could be beneficial to us.
Yeah, we're just kicking this thing off. We're a year in, a little over a year with this contract, and the city of Watertown has performed very well with 50-seat jets going to Denver. So I think if we get a couple of years under our belt, some of the majors would be looking at us for the numbers we can produce.
Great.
And that would possibly open up other destinations?
It could, yes.
For the record, Councilman Solom has joined us. Any other comments or questions?
I have a comment. Just briefly, we've been talking back and forth about option 1, option 2. Could you just give a Reader's Digest? Are you old enough to remember that? A Reader's Digest version, meaning a snippet for those who are watching who really don't know what we're talking about, option A, option B. That could be Russian for them. So that would be great if you could just give a little.
Sure. So what we are recommending today is option 1, status quo, from Aerodynamics Incorporated. That is exactly what we have currently. We have 2 flights a day to 2 flights a day to Denver with a 1 stop in Pier. We leave at 7:40 a.m. We have an arrival back in at 1:40 p.m. It departs back to Denver at 2:40 p.m. and then arrives back into Watertown at 8:40. So we are the originator for the status quo option that we are recommending. Option 2A would have originated in Pier, and it would have flown Pier to Denver, back to Pier, to Watertown, to Minneapolis, and they would have flown that twice in one day. So we'd essentially have had 1 flight a day to Denver and 2 flights a day to Minneapolis. Was option 2A.
That's the one that was not able to be continued because of the issue with American Airlines.
The gate space in Minneapolis,
Right,
correct.
right.
Councilman Danforth?
So we really have this one option on our plate, don't we? We really don't have a choice but to stay status quo,
Your other option is to rebid.
which will get us the same thing we have,
We
right?
have the option of boutique as well. That one's not off the table with the small planes.
Correct.
Yeah,
The
which I
8 or
don't-
9 seat operation.
And I don't think that's the way to go. But, so, setting boutique aside, we either stay status quo or we go out and rebid, and, which is gonna get us the same thing we have now.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, it would just give the other airlines an opportunity to bid us if they so wished.
right. And one would think they would already have done that probably at that point.
Correct.
But as a
Yep.
follow-up to that, wouldn't there be a risk if we were to rebid that we may not get the bid that we've got now from ADI?
The risk to reward factor scares me, yes.
Other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any old business? Any new business? Are there any liaison member reports? There is no need to enter executive session, so I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councilwoman Manti and second by Councilman Vilhauer. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries and we are adjourned. We'll take a moment